Karanam namami Vigneshwara pada pankajam. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So welcome to SanGita program session 2 today. It's a Navratri day, very auspicious Saturday today, morning 8 o'clock in Chicago with beautiful weather. As usual, we are going to review the last session, and some of you might have missed it. So let me just give you a very quick review of session 1 when we introduced the SanGita program, Sanskrit plus Gita program, and I explained to you what are the objectives and the proposed approach to this program. I gave a little background to Sri Bhagavad Gita, especially for those who are new to it. And I said it's a part of the great epic Mahabharatam, and is presented by the great Rishi Vedavyasa himself. I gave you the clan of Kuru and Yadu Vamshams, how the lineage started, and what is the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. And we gave an overview of the contents of Gita. We started off with a few selected dhyana slogans to Gita, which is usually the practice. And I gave you the meanings of the dhyana slogan. And we had learned the first 2 verses with explanations and meanings of those verses. So we are going to start the session 2 now, connecting up our last session. And before I do that, I'd like to give you a quick review of some of the abbreviations and notes that we shall use in the slides. The gender M, F, and N will be used as short form, a masculine, feminine, and neuter. Adjectives will use A, and adverb will use ADV. And the numbers singular, dual, plural will be indicated by S, D, and P. Wherever there's a root, we will indicate by R, and vibhaktis by V, and C for conjunction. The words numbers, you'll have 2 numbers. The first one will indicate the chapter, and the second, the relevant verse in the chapter. For example, verse 1.3 indicates chapter 1, verse number 3. So, having said that, we will go with the next slide, which is to give you an overview of the first chapter, what the first chapter says and what is its purpose. It describes the war scene. As you know, the Kauravas and Pandavas have assembled together at Kurukshetra. So it gives you the scenario of the war. And it introduces the main characters involved, including Lord Krishna and Arjuna, who are the 2 main characters for the entire Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna as the Guru and Arjuna as a disciple. Now, amongst the Pandavas, Lord Krishna chose Arjuna to lead the war, and he himself became the charioteer or the driver of Arjuna's chariot. Why didn't he choose Dharmaputra or Bhima? No, Dharmaputra was the eldest. Rightfully, he should have been chosen, but not so. Yudhishthira or Dharmaputra, as the name indicates, Dharmaputra, he was following Dharma totally, and he had a balanced mind. Bhima was just the opposite. He was the most aggressive among the Pandavas and could probably be not the right person to present a problem. He would go and straight away act and start fighting. Arjuna was in the center. He was like a normal human being, a human being with attachments, bondage with kith and kin, respect for the acharya, all those emotional attachments he had, and he had a problem, like most of us do. So the purpose of Gita is to really give us a guidance, like Krishna did to Arjuna with a problem. And therefore, in the first chapter, we get an idea of what Arjuna's problem is. So Arjuna presents a problem to Krishna in the first chapter. And that, I think, is the main purpose here of first chapter, to bring forth what was really bothering Arjuna, who really came to fight, but eventually laid down his arms and said, I'm not going to fight. So sudden transformation. And this happens to most of human beings too. We face challenges. And the Bhagavad Gita provides an excellent guidance to face those challenges. But Mahatma Gandhi once said that when he's faced with very serious problems, all he does is read a verse from Bhagavad Gita and he gets inspired to face the challenge. So likewise, as we go along, you will learn a lot and you will be able to face many of the common problems that face humanity and be able to better address them with solutions like what is proposed in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord himself. Okay, having said that, we will proceed further with the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where the Pandavas are facing Kauravas. And we're going to continue with verse 1.3, the third verse in the first chapter. And I would suggest that you keep a copy of Bhagavad Gita to be able to follow the verses as I keep reciting them. So verse 1.3, it starts with the introduction of warriors by Duryodhana. Pashyetam Panduputranam Acharyam Makatim Chamum Vyudam Drupata Putrena Tapasishyena Dhimatha. I'm going to explain each of these words and then give you the gist of this verse. Pashyayitam. Pashya is to see. You learned it in the earlier Sanskrit lessons. Pashya, verb. Pashyayitam becomes pashyayitam. There is a sandhi there. Pashyayitam. Pashyayitam, see this. He's addressing his acharya. Pandu Putranam. Pandu and Putranam, two different words. Pandu Putranam, sons of Pandu. It's plural. Putranam, it's plural. Acharyam refers to Dronacharya, the family guru. Mahatim, it comes from the root Mahat. Maha itself, means large. You say Mahalakshmi, Mahameru, Mahatma Gandhi. Mahat is a root which means large, big. Mahatim is an adjective. Comes from Mahat, the large, vast. Mahatim is an adjective to the army. Chamum, the root is chamu, referring to the army, which is feminine gender. Surprisingly, the army is referred to as a feminine gender in Sanskrit. Well, it consists mostly of men and hardly any women. In this particular case, of course. Vyudam. Vyudam is set in the army formation. Just like you have in a chessboard, the pawns in the front, and behind them your more powerful forces, like the rook and knight and the king and the queen and so on. So that's called phalanx, the typical army formation. Vyudam, set in army formation. Drupada putrena, by Drupada putra. Who was Drupada putra? He was son of Drupada. Drupada was a king, but his actual name was Drishtadyumnan. Now there is a story behind this. Why Drishtadyumnan was chosen to lead the army. There was a long-standing enmity between Drupada and Dronacharya. Both were students under the same guru and they studied together. But Drupada was a king and Drona was a poor Brahmin. So Drupada went back to his kingdom and became a king and had told Dronacharya, anytime you can come to me, if any help you need, I'm your old friend, do come to me. And when Drona really wanted his help, he went to him and Drupada insulted him. He didn't keep his promise. And you are a poor Brahmin, I am a king, go away. And Drona felt insulted and he swore that someday I shall make Drupada come and kneel at my feet, which he did. He became the Acharya for both the Kauravas and Pandavas and became so powerful that he sent one of his disciples to capture Drupada and bring him. And Drupada was captured. He came kneeling before Dronacharya. And Dronacharya was so gracious that he said, Drupada, I've taught you a lesson now. You go back. I'm going to give you half the kingdom. You go back, be a king. But you learned this lesson. But Drupada, in his own mind, he wanted to take revenge on Drona. And he prayed to get a son who will kill Drona. And he did penances, and as a result, he had a son who was Drishtadyumnan. Who taught him warfare? Surprisingly, Dronacharya himself. So he didn't show his enmity in his heart and sent Drishtadyumnan to Drona, go and learn warfare from him. And again, once again, most graciously, Dronacharya taught him warfare. He taught warfare and the artillery to Drishtadyumnan. He became his Sishya. And he knew a lot about it. And that Drishtadyumnan is now facing his own Acharya. So there is a little bit of sarcasm here by Duryodhana telling Dronacharya, Tava, your Sishyena, Sishya, Dhimata, most intelligent. It's an adjective. Dhi is intellect, Dhimata. Dhi asya asti is Dhimata, one who's possessing intellect, the most intelligent. Look at him, your own intelligent disciple, whom you taught warfare, is coming to fight against you. to whom you have taught your warfare, to your own enemy. Acharya, see this vast army of sons of Pandu arranged in formation. By whom? By your most intelligent disciple and the son of Drupada. Look at him. He is the one who's leading the army for Pandavas. So it is a bit sarcastic. That don't be lenient to him because he is your Sishya. But you have to teach him a lesson once again. Not to Drupada, but his son also. So that is a kind of a subtle warning that Duryodhana is giving to his Guru Dronacharya. Don't be lenient to him because he is a traitor. He is now fighting against you. So that's the background to this verse. It's a beautiful verse, and I'd like to read it once again. Pasyetam Panduputranam Acharyam Magatim Chamum Vyudam Drupata Putrena Tapasishyena Dhimatha. Okay, we'll move on to the next verse, the fourth one. Now, Duryodhana is really introducing all the warriors from the enemy camp, that is the Pandavas army. Atra Shura Makeshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupatascha Maharataha. Atra, you learnt it in the previous Sanskrit class. Here, which is a conjunction. Shuraha. In many languages, you have the word Shura. Brave, heroes. It's an adjective, masculine, and in this case, plural because it refers to Shuraha, heroes. Mahan Ishwasaha Yasya Saha Maheshwasaha. Ishu refers to big boss. Namaste Rudramanya Utota Ishave Namaha, says Rudram. Ishu. Mahan Ishwasaha means having big bows. One who has those big bows. Maheshwasaha. Bhimaha. Now, B comes from the root bhaya, fear. Bhimaha, he has no fear. One who has no fear. Arjunaha, one who is faultless. Junaha is fault. Arjunaha is faultless. Bhimaha cha Arjunaha cha. And Bhima Arjuna cha. Santi. Bhima Arjunaha samaha, equal. No, Bhima and Arjuna virtually are considered as yardsticks of bravery, yardsticks for a warrior. So they are considered Bhima Arjuna Samayudhi, equal to Bhima and the other warriors. Who? Yuyudhana Viratascha. Yuyudhana is a name. These are the names of warriors. In this, you may find it a little difficult. Sometimes it is a noun, sometimes it is an adjective. In Sanskrit, many people have names which sound like adjective because it describes the qualities. Like Bhimaha means one who has no fear. But it is his pronoun, personal name also. So you have here Yuyudhana. Yuyu comes from the root yud, to fight. One who wants to fight. Yuyudhana. But it is his name. Yudhana and Virata. Virata is the name of a king. Drupataha, King Drupata. Father and son both fighting. Maharataha. The Maharataha is a title. Like you have Padma Shri, Bharat Ratna and so on. Maharataha, one who has a large chariot, who is entitled to it, one who has really done a great job in war. So it's given it to great kings, title Maharataha. So you have Maharudram, Atirudram. They are also Atirataha, one who is above the Maharataha. So here are the heroes. Duryodhana continues to introduce the enemy camp to his Acharya, Dronacharya. Here are heroes, mighty archers who have big bows, equal in the strength like Bhima and Arjuna. Who? Yuyudhanaha, Virataha, Drupadaha, all Maharathas. They are equal in strength to Bhima and Arjuna. So this is the strength of the enemy camp. And going further, Drishtaketusche Ketanaha Kasirajasya Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Saibhyascha Narapungavaha. Again, these are names of warriors. Drishtaketuhu. Drishta, as you know, is seeing. In this particular case, it is one who has fought. Like you say, I have seen life, it means I have experienced it, right? Similarly, in the same fashion, Drishtaha Ketuhu Yena Saha. A king who fought with the planet Ketu. His name itself is Drishtaketuhu. That begins a pronoun. Drishtaketuhu. Drishtaha Ketuhu Yenaha Saha. Chekitanaha. Again, King Chekitana. Kasi Rajaha, King of Kasi, masculine singular. Viryavan, adjective, the brave kings. Purujit, again name of a king, but he acquired the name because he won. King Puru fought against him and won him. Therefore, Purujit, Jit is to win. And Puru is the name of another person. He won over him, therefore his name itself became Purujit. Kunti Bojaha. Now Kunti Boja was an adopted father of Kunti. He brought Kunti up and he ruled the kingdom which was rightfully Kunti's. So therefore, his name was Kunti Bojaha. Kuntihi Bogaha Yasya Saha. Bogaha is enjoyment. One who enjoyed Kunti's kingdom and hence called Kunti Bojaha. Saibhyaha, again a name of a king, called so because he's a descendant of King Shibi. Some of you may know the story of King Shibi, who was very well known for charity. And there was a dove which was aggrieved, and the king had to give something in return to the dove, and he cut his own flesh and gave it to the dove. That's the story. So, but this King Shibi was very well known for charity, and therefore he was acclaimed to be a great person amongst men. So the adjective here is Nara Pungavaha. Nareshu Pungavaha. Nara means men. Nareshu means amongst. Pungavaha, the best. The best amongst men. Adjective to Shaibhya. So here he is introducing to Dronacharya the names of kings, Drishtaketu Chekitana, and the valiant king of Kashi, Purujit, Kuntiboja, and Shaibya, the best of man. Going further to the 6th verse, Yudha Manyuscha Vikranta, Uttabojascha Viryavan, Saubhadro Draupateyascha, Sarvayeva Maharataha. He's going further to introduce more warriors. Yudha Manyuhu, name of a warrior. How did he get a name? Yudaha Manyuhu Yasya Saha. Manyuhu is anger. Rudra Manyava Utota Ishave Namaha. I mentioned about Rudram. Manyuhu means anger. One who becomes angry by war. Yudha is Yuddham. So he acquired the name Yudha Manyuhu. Even today, many of our Hindu names are inherited from Sanskrit, and they describe the quality of a person. Like Shiva means auspiciousness, Mangalam. Every one of those names has got some meaning. So Yudha Manyuhu here is one who becomes angry by war, and his name itself is Yudha Manyuhu now. Vikrantaha Vikrama. One who displays valor. Krama. Krama. Krama here is root. We had the first aircraft carrier in India. Some of you may remember this. The name of the aircraft carrier was INS Vikrant. Once I had the opportunity to visit the aircraft carrier, and they showed me around how the aircraft was working. It was really a splendid piece where the planes could take off and land on it. And the carrier itself was named Vikrant, derived from Sanskrit word Vikrant. The display of valor, of strength. Uttamaujaha, again, name of a warrior, who derived the name Uttamam Ojas Asya Saha. Like Tejas, sometimes you say he has got the Tejas, the brilliance on his face, comes from Ojas. The shine of brilliance. You can see when you look at some people, the face itself shines. And you say, what a Tejas, shine of brilliance. Uttamam Ojas Yasya Saha, one who has a shine of brilliance, and hence called Uttamaujaha. Saubhadraha, son of Subhadra, and Arjuna. Yet another name, and that name was Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu. Now here, he is referred to as son of Subhadra and therefore Saubhadraha, but his real name is Abhimanyu. Now there is a story behind Abhimanyu. He was such a brave warrior. In fact, he turned the course of Mahabharata war. You know, it is said that when a lady is pregnant, she has to hear good things, because the fetus listens to them, it has an impact. And in case of Abhimanyu, he was in Subhadra's womb, and Krishna was explaining to him what is called Chakra Vyuha. In the army, they have a formation of encircling the enemy by circles. It becomes like a maze, and the soldiers get virtually trapped by the enemy. Now it's a strategy. It's called Chakra Vyuha. And Krishna was explaining to Subhadra. Subhadra was Krishna's sister. So Abhimanyu was his nephew. So he was telling his sister about Chakra Vyuha strategy, and she was listening, and so was the fetus. So he acquired the knowledge of Chakra Vyuha, but not fully, because Subhadra, in the later part, slept off. So he learned most of it, but not fully. And when he came to the warfare, Abhimanyu was already married to Uttara, and Uttara was pregnant. He came to warfare, and the Kauravas really used the strategy of Chakra Vyuha to encircle the Pandavas. It was Abhimanyu who knew it, who was able to battle and win over most of the Kauravas, fight against them, kill them. When he came to the seventh circle, he couldn't proceed further because he didn't know the solution. Ultimately, he was killed. And his son was born after the war, and his name was Parikshit. He was the sole heir to the Kuru kingdom because all the soldiers got killed. Parikshit. So Saubhadra is a very valiant warrior by name Abhimanyu. And who else was there? Draupadeyaha. Draupadi's sons. Draupadi had a son from each of the Pandavas. Kramashaha, Prativindyaha, Sutasomaha, Sutakarma, Satanika, Srutasena. They were sons of Draupadi. They were all there, part of the army of Pandavas. Sarve, all. They also were Maharataha, who had the title of great warriors, of Maharata, adjective. So this verse explains the brave Yudhamanyu, Uttamaujas, the son of Subhadra, Abhimanyu, son of a great warrior Arjuna, and the sons of Draupadi. All of them too are great warriors. So explains Duryodhana to his Acharya Dronacharya. Going further, this is the 7th verse in the first chapter. Asmakam tu visishtaye tan nibodha dvijottama nayaka mama sainyasya samjnartam tan abrabhimite. You will find a lot of sandhis here, and you will find the breakup in the next slide. Asmakam comes from asmat, which is plural, which means ours, we, asmat. Pronoun of first person, asmakam, ours. The description now switches to the Kauravas. After having introduce some of the main characters, the main warriors in the enemy's camp, the Pandavas, Duryodhana proceeds to introduce his own army. So he addresses Dronacharya as the best among the twice born. Brahmins are supposed to be twice born. The real biological birth was one, and the second one when they have adorned with the Yajnopavitam, which is a second birth for them, and then they're called Dvijaha, two. They are born second time, and therefore they are addressed as Dvijaha or twice born. Asmakam tu also Visishtaha, Visesham சொல்றது தமிழ்ல. In Tamil you have Viseshan. Also in many other languages. In Marathi also you say that, in Hindi also you say Visesh, which is specially or best. Ye, who? Those. Tan, those. Nibodha, no. Bodha, Buddha comes from Buddha. Nibodha, to know. Dvijottama, Dvija is twice born. Uttama is the best. So, best amongst the twice born. Jayate Januhu, Dvija. Janu here is the root, to be born. Or best among the twice born. Nayakaha, leaders. Mama, mine. Sainyasya, of the army. Sainyas, army. Sainyasya, of the army. Asya. Samyartam. Samyaka means summary. You see some similarity between samyak and summary. At least the first three, some and some, are common. Samyaka, summary. Artaha, meaning. For your information, FYI. I am giving you for information. Tan, them. Breathe with me, speak. I will tell you. Te, to you. So what is telling Dronacharya? Oh, the best among the twice born. Please also know the names of those most distinguished amongst ourselves, our army, the leaders of my army. I'm telling you this for your information. Not that you don't know, you know all of them, but still, as a formality, he is introducing his own army people, the chief people in his army. And proceeding further, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitinjayaha Ashwathama Vikarnascha Somadaschi Tataivacha. You will find lot of cha here because and. But they would be probably combined into a sandhi like Bhishmascha Karnascha. The cha is and. Okay. Bhavan. You see, tvam. You say tu, which is for amongst friends. Bhavan is a very respectful you. Second person. Masculine, singular in this case. Bhavan. Bhishmaha. Here is also Bhishma means fearless, but there is a little difference between Bhimaha and Bhishma. The conjunction part of it is different. I'll explain to you later that. Karnaha, another warrior. Karnaha itself means ears. Now, Karna was born with Karna Kundalam, which was integral part of his body, and he had the strength in that. And he was known for his charity. He would give away anything. Such a charitable person, Karna, because he had special ears with those kundalams, or ear rings, you can call it. He was called Karna. Kripa. Kripa was also an acharya called Kripacharya. Samitinjayaha. Adjective here. Victorious. All of them very victorious. They never faced defeat. They were all winning everything. Ashwathama, son of Dronacharya. Duryodhana is introducing his Dronacharya's son himself. Ashwathama. Here is Ashwathama, your son. He is also part of our army. Vikarnaha, another king. Somadatti. Somadatti is son of Somadatta. He acquired the name because of his father Somadatta. But his real name was Jayatratha. So some of them, they acquired the name like Saubhadraha, son of Subhadra. In this case, son of Somadatta is called Somadatti, even though his name is different, Jayatratha. All the names of best warriors, Tata Yevacha, likewise, they are almost equal. So he starts with the very first person, Dronacharya himself. Our army, the army has got you. The greatest strength for us, Dronacharya, my own guru. Bhavan, yourself. See how he's making Dronacharya very comfortable. My Sishya, he's putting me first before anybody else. He's giving me the privilege. And obviously it was to please his guru. He says, thyself, Bhavan. And then he puts Bhishma, even though Bhishma was much older, Pitamaha. But Bhishma comes after the guru. The guru takes the first place. Thyself and Bhishma and Karna and Kripa, always victorious in war. Ashwathama, Vikarna and Jayatratha, the son of Somadatta. These are the other people, warriors on our side. Going further, Anyecha Bhagavaha Shura Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha Nana Sahasra Prakaranaha Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha. Now, others he doesn't go by name because it's a very long list. So he just says others, Anye, plural. Anye cha, and others, so many of them are there, hundreds of warriors are there. So he can't be obviously naming each one of them. So he just singles out the main characters, the main warriors, the pillars of strength for his army, and also the Pandavas' army. And says there are so many others, Bahavaha, many. What kind of people? Shuraha, brave people, brave warriors. Adjective is masculine. Madarte, to be split as Mama Artaha. Artaha, it shares purpose. Kamartha, no, we have also the four dharmas. Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha, Dharma, Artha, purpose. Yeah. Mama Artaha, for my purpose, for my sake. Madarte, Mama Artaha, for my sake. Tyakta Jivitaha. Tej is the root here. Yuddham Teja, forsake war. Leave it, abandon, Teja. Tyaktam, to sacrifice. Jivitaha, life. To sacrifice life is called Tyakta Jivitaha. Nana, many varied. Shastra, weapons. Astram comes from that. Sense, weapons. Praharana, praha, to strike. You learnt it in the earlier lesson in Sanskrit. Pra, to strike. From that root comes praharana. Praharana, those weapons which are capable of striking, artillery, missiles. Sarveha, all. Yuddha Visharadaha. Visharadaha means skilled. To be able to use those weapons, one should be skilled also. So then, Yuddha Visharada, all of them are skilled, experienced, very brave warriors in war, handling weapons of varied kinds. Guns, missiles. Of course, the guns were not there, I think bows and arrows. So he says to his Acharya and many other heroes who risk their life for my sake, they are willing to die for me. For my sake, they are willing to risk their lives. And they are armed with a variety of weapons, and all of them are very skilled in warfare. So he presents the enemy's camp and his own army, which consists of so many well-known warriors, names many of them, and also says there are so many others who are all very skilled and who are capable of handling these weapons. So it's comparative, the enemy and his own army. Let's go to the next and the last verse for today. The 10th verse. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma birakshitam paryaptam tudametesham balam bhima birakshitam. Now, having introduced both the armies, Duryodhana starts comparing the relative strengths of the two armies. Pari and ap, together, paryap, means to limit, to contain. And in Sanskrit, you put a before a word, it becomes opposite, very easy. Aparyaptam is unlimited. Paryaptam is limited. Like nyaya, anyaya, krama, akrama. You put a, it becomes opposite. Aparyaptam, unlimited. That's that. Asmakam, ours, we explained it before. Bhalam, common word used in India in many languages, which means strength or power. Bhishma birakshitam. Birakshitam is marshaled by Bhishma. Past tense singular here. Bhishma birakshitam. Raksha here is not really protecting, but it is something like one who is led, marshaled by Bhishma. But to conjunction here, however, comparison starts here. Idam, this, paryaptam, is just the opposite here, limited. Etesham is pointing to the army of Pandavas. Bhima birakshitam, marshaled by Bhima. So I think he's feeling very strong about his own army, feeling very satisfied. He wants to give the feeling to Dronacharya that we have excellent army, better than the enemies. That strength of our army is marshaled by Bhishma, the Pitamaha, the great-great-grandfather, is unlimited, whereas their army, he is pointing to Pandavas, marshaled by Bhima, is somewhat limited. Maybe he's to just encourage himself to feel happy that he's got a good army or maybe it is to inspire Dronacharya, who is his Acharya, to also motivate him that you don't have to worry, we are all there. We got very good army and we can do an excellent job. We'll support you. Here, one or 2 points I want to mention. Dronacharya was a Brahmin, and according to Varnashrama, which existed, Brahmins, they had certain rights to do certain things, and they were not really qualified to do certain other things. It is called Varnashrama Dharma. And in the Varnashrama Dharma, Brahmins can teach, but not practice it themselves. They can teach warfare, but not get into the warfare themselves, not fight themselves. So Dronacharya is really breaking one of the Varnashrama Dharmas here. And the Dharma of Brahmin, they call it Shat Karma, 6 of them. What you can or what you should do and what you should not do. One is called Yajanam. You know, Yagyam comes Yajanam. Means do rituals, karmas. They are qualified to do karmas. They are also qualified Yajanam, to guide others to do rituals. Many of the priests, they guide you how to do it. They are qualified to do it. Yajanam, Yajanam. Second is Patanam. Patanam means to read. Everybody can read, no prohibition on that. But the Brahmins also are qualified to teach. Like Dronacharya, Patanam, Patanam. But he's not entitled to fight himself. Patanam, Patanam. And the third is Dhanam, to give. Anybody can give. The Brahmins also can give. But they had one additional entitlement. They can receive also what is called Parigrahanam. Pratigrahanam. To get back. Pratigrahanam. So that's called Shatkarmas. And Dronacharya is really breaking that Varnashrama Dharma. When he is not supposed to fight himself, he is fighting. Where the rest of the people who are fighting, they're Kshatriyas, Acharyas. So this is where the distinction comes between a Brahmin and Kshatriya. One is qualified to teach, but not really entitled to fight himself. Sounds a little strange, but it is true. So, this chapter, so far what you have done, there is an introduction, the army, and in the next session, we'll proceed further with what happens further with Arjuna. And one lesson from the first chapter, which is relevant to all of us, Krishna doesn't say even a single word. He keeps listening to what is happening and what Arjuna says. Arjuna will talk later, but Krishna doesn't say a word. He starts talking only in second chapter. So it's a lesson that we should listen more to know what is really the problem. Half the people, they jump before the problem itself is explained. So I'm not well, oh, you got a headache. Before you could say what is wrong with you, they assume that you got something. So here the listening part is stressed in the first chapter. Krishna doesn't open his mouth. He keeps listening. And only in the 11th verse, he starts talking. So Adi Shankara doesn't comment about the first chapter at all. Adi Shankara wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. He couldn't do for Lalita Sahasranam, but he did for Bhagavad Gita. Of course, lots of commentaries are written on Bhagavad Gita. One of the greatest epics. And we're going to see more of it in our next session, number 3. So stay tuned And I'd like to welcome all of you. Some people have joined new this time. And please continue with these lessons and review them at your leisure in the comfort of your home. And I wish all of you a very happy Navaratri and a very happy Dasara. With that, we conclude session 2 of our SanGita program. We'll meet next Saturday. Until then, cheers and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.